Well, hello. Every gal needs a cowboy hat.
Scanning the room, you look for a familiar face. Everyone is a stranger. Your heart's racing, you feel nauseous. New plan. You meet 4 new people. Okay, 3. 2. You can handle 2. And then you think, I hate this. This just feels so fake. And before you talk to even 1 new person, you're looking for the nearest exit.
Okay. Crazy. Yo, who invited this chick?
My heart races when I walk into a room full of strangers too. Except it's not anxiety, it's excitement. I'm not thinking networking quota. I'm thinking, look at all these stories. And I get so pumped about talking to people that I don't know.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Well, that is We Are Family. I did not have it queued up for the lyrics, but we have a special guest joining our girls today. Oh, welcome everyone. Come here, Willie. My name is Gail Robertson, and I am Chief Curiosity Officer with GailNow, and I help manufacturers, sign up, suit up, and show up. And show up even when there's technical glitches, even when there's a barking dog, you still need to show up in this world. And you know, the exciting thing about going live and stepping out, sometimes even outside our comfort zone as well, that's where the magic can happen. So welcome everyone today. And, you know, we're going to be diving into a topic that is all about the power of manufacturing. We have Manufacturing Day, which is this Friday. We now have Manufacturing Month, and it is so vital that we do show up. We have a duty to show up. We have a duty to share stories. We have a duty to share knowledge, and we have a duty to encourage more people to think about manufacturing as a career as well. And in my work in this area, one of the struggles is often about people's reluctance to step into the spotlight, to share their story. Well, first of all, sometimes even a reluctance to tell their story and then to share. And today we have 3 amazing guests that are doing great work in the area of manufacturing. And oh, did they show up? So I want to start welcoming everyone. And this is a celebration. And the reason I had We Are Family as the song to start is because there is a family atmosphere when it comes to manufacturing, and we need to really celebrate that as well. So before we get started, I just want to welcome some of the people in our comments before we bring our guests on. Oh, we have Welker Inc. Thank you for showing up, Welker. We have Inger, who's doing a bit of double duty, quadruple duty, I think today. She's everywhere today. So she's saying hello. And we have the king of process in the house, David Chrysler. Hello, David from the Chrysler Club. Okay, and thank you, Inger. And just a little insight, you know, I want everybody to just to know when it comes to coming on a live show and, you know, not everything has to be perfect. Sometimes you start off and there's glitches and you can still pull it all together. And that's kind of what manufacturing is all about. Manufacturing is often about glitches, is often about things going off the rails, and it's about pulling together and having success. So we're going to be jumping right in. I'm going to welcome our guests, and in no particular order, but I'm going to start first I see it to my left here on the screen. I'm going to add Mike Womack is in the house. Whoa, wait a minute. There you are. You're there and you're gone.
Thank you so much, Gail. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Mike. Mike is with NJMP. We're going to be getting to that and having you explain a bit about that. And then we have Katie, the manufacturing hype girl. Doo, 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 doo. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, geez. I'm having sticky fingers today with bringing people.
Hi, everybody. everybody. Hi, Gail. Thanks for having me on. Hi, Mike.
Hey, Katie.
And last but not least, we have a very amazing young woman who is boots on the ground, working in manufacturing, Cynthia Cooper from
I hope
Caliber
you
Tool.
can hear me.
Loud and clear. Thank
Okay,
you,
good.
Cynthia.
I had a lot of technical difficulties on my end.
Yeah.
You know what? We've had it all around. I'm going to, let's see, turn up some volume here at my end. Let me see. Let me check my soundboard. Well, thank you all for coming. This is quite a big event for my show as well, to have a panel to really celebrate this wonderful month. And I've been saying, let's celebrate Manufacturing Day, month, year, decade, century. I don't know what goes beyond century. There's something like quadrillion or something, right? And we did, you know, a little insight too before the show. There was a little bit of scurrying around because we had camera issues. We had, oh, wait a minute. Dan says there seems to be technical difficulties. Okay, what I'm going to ask everybody to do is probably go to my YouTube channel at GailNow. There are links in LinkedIn. Thank you for flagging that, Dan. We have had a few issues with LinkedIn Live of late, so this is actually perfect timing because I'm actually also working to move more over to YouTube, utilize YouTube to a much greater extent. So I think, I don't know, it's just meant to be, I guess. So thank you, Dan. If you are able I see a few people are on YouTube, and I would encourage maybe people, because we have some technical issues. So, so we have inspiration from Inger. We have Inger saying, woohoo, hello from YouTube, everyone. And we also have Whitney. Whitney Cuck is in the house. Whitney, thank you. Yep, she says, if you're having issues with the live stream, come over to YouTube. Thank you also for dropping that link. Thank you. Yep, David says much better on YouTube. Yay, YouTube. And everyone, okay, shameless plug, please subscribe to my channel. I'm going to say that. Say that now.
Ring a bell.
You can ring my bell. Ring a bell. Okay. I'm going to do a TikTok about that, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good
let's get started. Cynthia's sitting there going, whoa, what show did I just
Well, you have to turn on notifications. I mean, come
It's
on.
kind of funny too,
Yeah.
because since I have you in my contacts, your TikTok pops up on my For You page every now and then.
Oh, nice.
You know, that's a whole other world. My son says that. My son is usually a little more horrified, though. He says, Mom, when yours shows up on my For You page, he's like, you don't really want your mom showing up on TikTok.
He'll love it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go round and welcome everyone. Now, as for people who tune in regularly, my show, so Dan says, yeah, keep skipping going backwards. So I would recommend everyone, please, YouTube is the place to be today, because LinkedIn Live is.
It's been happening a lot. A lot of shows I watch, not just yours. A lot of shows that I watch, it's been happening all the time. So
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, dear LinkedIn, we better get that settled, because because what's going to happen is, we all know, right? People start to look elsewhere when there's problems. So my show is talking to people who show up in manufacturing, and I bring in people from manufacturing, and sometimes I invite other guests to bring their knowledge into this world. So to get started, I'm going to start with Mike to give a bit of a scene setter because I know he is the expert here on Manufacturing Day, month, year. So Mike, can you tell us a little bit about NJMEP and also about Manufacturing Day for people who may be tuning in and going, it's what? Manufacturing month?
Absolutely. So let me start with MEP, because we're NJMEP, but there's actually one of us in every single state, including Puerto Rico. And our main mission is to help manufacturers grow and thrive domestically. And what that really means is we provide the resources, the training, the consulting services, really anything a manufacturer needs to be stronger, faster, better, and really more efficient and effective across the board. And a part of that in New Jersey is celebrating Made in New Jersey Manufacturing Day, because Manufacturing Day is a national celebration. It's happening everywhere across the entire country to just highlight manufacturing as an industry. because like MEPs for a long time, manufacturing is really the best kept secret in terms of a field to enter into, to explore and to engage with. There's so many opportunities. There's so many different kinds of manufacturers. Actually, other way, you see all these different kind of companies. These are all manufacturers: pharmaceutical, life science, heavy industrial, food processing. And Manufacturing Day is an amazing time to emphasize this industry, highlight it, and make sure people understand the opportunities that are there, create an opportunity for these manufacturing companies to come together, because they're usually head down, make sure they're making their product, their quotas, and getting things out the door. We really don't have a lot of times to come together and celebrate. Maybe connection with a school, so kids know that this industry is even out there. It's awesome, Cynthia, that you're in manufacturing. I mean, it's a rare thing to see, because when I was in high school and graduated in 2011, my counselor said all manufacturing went overseas, so don't even try. Go get a degree. So I did. I found my way back to manufacturing to make sure that doesn't happen again. And Manufacturing Day is a way that we can make that happen. In New Jersey, we have 1,000 people coming through the door. We're looking to get 1,000 heads through the door on Made in New Jersey Manufacturing Day this Friday. From industry leaders, students, people up and downstream. Manufacturing Day is the day to celebrate the industry.
That is great. Thank you, Mike. And you bring, definitely that energy behind that and celebration of what Manufacturing Day is all about.
I'm glad, because I'm exhausted. We have this huge event coming up Friday. This is nothing for this event. My eyes are still open.
I have to thank you for taking time to come out on the show today like this, because I know how busy you are. And I was just saying, we met through networking and through actually a Twitter chat. I remember seeing NJ MEP and thought, who's the mystery person? Who's tweeting here? And it turns out it was Mike. And then we've talked and connected. And that is the power of showing up, right? Because we probably never would have crossed paths otherwise if it wasn't for social media and the networking that you're doing. So congrats on that. And now I want to switch over to Katie. So Katie is known as the manufacturing hype girl, but she's also someone who is showing up in terms of social media, in terms of search engine optimization, in terms of what words and terms that people are searching for. And I'm going to let her explain a little bit about what she does. And Katie, as you know, you're going to be coming on the show another time, really focusing more what you do. So let's talk about, give a little bit of overview about MNI, and then also, we'll talk about the university courses after. We'll get around to that.
Okay. Well, I'm Katie. I'm the manufacturing hype girl, although Mike just did a super job of being the manufacturing hype man, because that was fantastic. I echo everything he says about manufacturing and all the opportunities that are available. And I work for MNI, which is the nation's oldest and largest compiler of industrial manufacturing data. We've been just compiling information on manufacturers since 1912. And so I am out there talking about manufacturing, connecting buyers and sellers in the industry, and most specifically, more recently today, just talking about Manufacturing Day, and Manufacturing Month.
Thank you, Katie. Let's jump into also, while we have you on the screen, talk a little bit so people can be looking ahead to the manufacturing university, because that was something that that you've been working on. And I just want people to start thinking about that so they can sign up for courses.
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So MNI University is an online learning event that MNI is putting on for pretty much anybody. We just are trying to add value to our customers, past, present, and future, making sure that they have all the knowledge and the knowledge that they need to do their jobs better. So again, it's a free learning event. All the classes are led by industry professionals. Every class is going to be regarding manufacturing or sales and marketing and manufacturing. And it's all led by industrial professionals, industry professionals. And we're just talking about things that are important to manufacturers, like leveraging your LinkedIn profile or process improvement. We've got project management classes. There's just the cost reduction classes. So I urge you to go to the site, which is university.mni.net, and you can sign up for any class that you want to sign up for. They're all free. And yeah, I'm just out there talking about it. And if you want to teach a class, let me know. Let's get you on the site. Classes are being added every day, all day long. So just keep your eye out. Sign up. Sign up. Right, Gail?
Sign up so you can suit up and then show up.
And show up for the manufacturing industry.
Okay, and as you can see, I put that up, the
Thank you.
photo there. So, okay, now the exciting next guest here is Cynthia Cooper. And Cynthia, this is Cynthia's first, I would say her first StreamYard, now you've been on a panel before, but
Yeah,
I think this is your first live stream, correct?
I'm not sure. The other one was a Build a Dream one, and
Okay.
I don't remember if that was live or not.
Okay.
I think it was, though.
Well, we welcome you, and
you.
I'm going to, before we start, I want to do something here. Let me see here, just to give an idea as to a little bit of, so you can get into your story here. Let me see if I can find, here we are. This is Cynthia at Cavalier Tool, working away, and this was when they did a photo shoot. So I just wanted to share this because I think this just exemplifies more of what we need to see, because when we see things like this, it shows that there are opportunities for more youth, more women to get into this great field. So Cynthia, let's tell a little bit about, now Cynthia and I just had a chat last night, a quick chat, and she was telling me about, Cynthia and I go back a bit because I've interviewed her before, talked to her, and I knew she was a bright light in this industry. And before we go on, I know there's some comments coming in, so I encourage people to please comment, especially go over to YouTube, comment. I'd love to bring some comments up on stage here, and as we make our way through the panel. So Cynthia, can you talk a little bit about how you are, your schooling, high school, college, and working now full time? And wow, you've
just kind of like the process,
but not collecting debt either, which is, well, I don't think so. Not too much debt.
So do you want me to just kind of go through like how I got here?
Yeah, why don't you talk about so what we talked about last night, you were in high school. Now you wanted to be a mechanic, right? And then
I did. Yeah, so when I was in grade 10, I joined the manufacturing classes. My friends, they said it was easy, so I was like, okay, I'll take it. I didn't really expect much out of it because previously before I was majoring to like music and art. So I took shop class, and then in grade 11, I wanted to be a mechanic. So I took all my classes surrounding mechanics, and then the OYAP teacher, he came up to me and he said, drop mechanic, join OYAP. You had like really high grades, you would be great. And I was like, okay. So I went to the guidance counselor and I asked to switch because he told me I had time. And the guidance counselor just kind of like chewed me out because the teacher lied to get me in. So she called the teacher and told him that there wasn't any time. He's like, I don't care, get her in. So that's how I joined the OYAP program. So then in grade 11 and 12, I did my placement. So that's where I went here to Cavalier. And then, so it was like second semester of grade 11, I worked an entire year. And then in second semester of grade 12, I went back to finish off my math and English. And then I graduated high school. And then so September last year, I did my year 2 in college because I did skip a year because of the OYAP program. So I went into the general machining because that's what OYAP is. You go into general machining. And so I finished year 2 and now I'm in year 3 and it's my final year.
And you are going to school and working?
I am, yeah. So when I went back to the high school to finish off my second semester, my final semester of high school, I was working part-time. And then, so currently while I'm in the college, I work full-time, and the college program is actually a night program. So I go to the college 2 days a week. I go Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 10. So I'll leave work at like 3:30 and then go home, and I leave home around like 5 o'clock to go to the college.
Wow.
Wow. Busy.
And what made you decide why go into mold making, I guess? What made you can we talk a little bit more about that?
Honestly, I just kind of got placed in a mold making shop, so I wasn't really complaining, but I wanted to get into like, I guess you can call it like manufacturing, because my dad was always really hands-on with stuff at home when I was a kid. So I kind of grew up with him, like always fixing stuff and building things. And he does like heating and cooling. So I would always see him work with metal. He would like craft things to fit into the furnaces. So I always grew up watching him do hands-on stuff. And then I just kind of became a very hands-on person when it came to my own projects. So I just kind of fit in all the right places for me to go into manufacturing.
And one of the things, and this might be a bit leading, but you also had interested in music and art. And
Yes.
we talked a bit about this, that there is opportunity, possibly, you know, mold design, there's other things in manufacturing. So has that been something that you might have in mind to go into? Something
Honestly, I never thought of it until we were on the phone last night. You just kind of brought up, I'm like, wow, that actually does kind of fit. Like currently, I am programming. I'm kind of doing a lot of things in my department, because the goal is to have me be able to do everything in the department in case someone goes like sick or they have to miss a day. But I'm currently programming at the moment. So I'd say that's pretty close to design in some way or another, where I have to look at the electrode and I have to figure out like the right cutter path and the right tooling that needs to have it. So I don't know, I'd say it's kind of similar in a way.
Well, we talked about this too. I think you have a world of opportunities available. So let's go over to Mike after hearing this story. Mike, I see Mike is smiling and kind of nodding.
I mean, this is great because actually, you know, Made in New Jersey Manufacturing Day this year, it's to really honor the Year of Women in Manufacturing. It was a team initiative that was put together last year in November. Everyone kind of came together and said, you know, there's a huge workforce gap, and a lot of it has to do with thinking about that traditional manufacturing worker that you and people think of when they see manufacturing or hear the word manufacturing. Mm-hmm. So the whole team kind of came together and put a whole organization and a committee together to put on different events, interview different women in the industry itself, and call it the Year of Women in Manufacturing. We're kind of celebrating that and kind of honoring that at this Friday, with a whole new an award ceremony. We have the Rising Stars Award for 5 women that were chosen as finalists, and dozens nominated. And I just awesome hearing that, Cynthia. And it's kind of shocking because, you know, in the U.S., it's not, that whole type of schooling really doesn't exist. It's not that prevalent to think about someone pushing you into going from auto mechanic into a manufacturing field. It's just awesome to hear that it's happening. And because they took out auto mechanics when I was in my junior year, and I kind of showed them. I bought the house 3 years ago, and I turned my garage into a blacksmith shop where I make fun little trinkets and stuff like
That's
this leaf
cool.
and all these things, because, you know, it's such a cool talent to have, skill to have, and it stays with you just like a degree. What people always said, those skills don't just go away. So that was just so cool. It was a great story. Thanks so much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah. Team Canada, and we will get into, for those of you listening, I believe it's Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, which is a whole amazing, fascinating program that, you know, and there's a whole other area to get into too in terms of education, educators. And I've spoken about this a few times about the need to be more curious and encourage more curiosity, so that we're not only focusing on getting young people into university, and while university is great, there's also college, there's apprenticeship. And, you know, now so many things can even be learned on the job. Yes, curiosity is a transferable skill. You can use it and change careers. So Cynthia, you know, that's something I think you were in a wonderful industry like tool making, and a wonderful company like Cavalier Tool, which is delving into things like automation. And they, little plug here, I do work with Cavalier as well from a marketing perspective, but they are a diverse company in tool making. So it's not only automotive, they do recreational, commercial, agricultural. So they go, the recreational vehicles is fascinating too, because that's an area that people always will need the recreational vehicles, no matter what the economy.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned art in, you know, manufacturing, because for a long time, it was science, technology, engineering, mathematics, STEM.
Mhm.
And I actually worked for a company before this, a manufacturer that made STEAM and STEM toys for high schools and school districts around the country. And that's that art aspect of it all is because engineers sometimes think in black and white blueprints, and they don't necessarily think about how the end user is going to engage with that product or the engage with the mold that you're going to be using to make a bunch of products. So that art aspect, that creativity is a critical part of manufacturing that can't be left out of the conversation.
Thank you for that. We need people that are that have those, and that's what I said to Cynthia, because of her interest in music and art. That's that whole too right, left brain, right? We need to have that as well. Okay, over to you, Katie. I want to hear your thoughts because I know you're listening, and as a woman in manufacturing, but also just as someone who is celebrating all that is amazing. What are your thoughts based on after hearing Cynthia and Mike, and maybe how this ties into showing up as well?
Well, I was just so happy to hear what all Cynthia had to say. I think that you and I would have been great friends in school. I was a band nerd for sure. I was in all the music, band and choir, solo and ensemble. Like I did it all. I was marching band. I wanted to be a band teacher when I grew up. But the paths of our lives change throughout time as we change. I had full intentions of going to college and being a band teacher. And then I don't even know how this just fell in my lap. I was raised in manufacturing. My dad was in manufacturing. The local foundry supported the whole community, and I didn't even realize it until I was old enough to, I guess, really respect the impact that manufacturing has on people, on the country, on, just life in general. So awesome. I'm so glad that you have found a place in manufacturing, and I can't wait to see what comes for you in the future, because who knows, maybe you'll be doing molds for musical instruments. Yeah, so awesome. There's so many cool things you could do. Yeah, totally. And Mike, I'm so jealous that I had no idea that you guys were doing a Women in Manufacturing year, because hello, I would have jumped on that bandwagon for sure.
Well,
Yes.
we have a special announcement on Friday that this might not be the last year of Women in Manufacturing, because that doesn't make any sense at all, does it?
Right. No, not at all. Not at all. I want to encourage people to talk about the jobs in manufacturing, encourage kids and women and minorities to consider the careers that are in manufacturing. I did some research recently, and I found out that the average hourly earning for people in manufacturing, and I'm not talking about C-level, okay? The average hourly earnings is $30.95, and that was a stat from this summer. So, wow. And you don't have to have a college degree to do most of these jobs. You learn on the shop floor, and you go to trade school, and you don't incur debt from your college, from your extended learning. So,
and some organizations even provide tuition reimbursement. So if you want to go, that was the biggest challenge, right? You thought that you had to all in one thing, that's the entire life, that you have to do what you sought after when you were 18, 19. Right. Where there's so many on and off ramps when it comes to your career developing. You might want to go on the shop floor, then get a couple year degree, and then come back and to work, and you could play around with your career path. It doesn't have to be a straight line. That's totally the biggest lie I think we ever told our kids, that you have to do it one way or no way.
Yeah. Or here they are in middle school, and you're telling them you've got to prepare for college. Why? Why do I have to prepare for college when I'm 12? That's just absolutely silly.
The amount of lectures I've had from teachers, oh my gosh. In grade 7, they'd be like, you have all the time in the world. And then by the time I hit grade 8, they're like, you must know now. You have to pick your classes for high school. You gotta go to college.
Well, Cynthia, I was actually a touring musician in high school. That's why I wanted to go to manufacturing, so I can come back and work in a job shop. And when they said no, it kind of like, all right, I guess I got to put my whole life on hold for 4 years while I go to college. And it was really upsetting. And I'm glad that you stuck to your guns and did what you thought was right, because that's really what needs to be done.
Yeah, thank you. It's was pretty difficult at first to balance both school and work, but honestly, now that I'm in my second year and final year, I'm kind of flying through it. Everything's just kind of a blast right now.
Cool.
I'm having a lot of fun.
Manufacturing is so fun.
Mm-hmm.
And Cynthia,
I like talking to everyone.
and Cynthia, speaking of that, you told me a little bit about your learning curve on the job. And can you talk about maybe one time when you were, because Cynthia and I shared our stories of sometimes stumbling to, learning about an industry where we came in and, I tell the story, it took me a while sometimes, figure out the difference between a mold maker and a molder, because it was confusing when you see the actual finished product, right? So Cynthia, what was one of the learning tips from one of your coworkers? How did they get you?
Oh my gosh. So because I jumped straight into programming, almost right off the bat, I skipped a lot of stuff in the shop that I probably should have known. So I'll be with my coworkers and then they'll be talking about a job and then I'll be like, oh, what's this? What's that? And they'll just kind of look at me. They'll be like, you don't know? I'm like, no, I skipped everything. So then they'll be like, let's go on a walk. So then they'll go take me down on a walk down the shop and they'll point things out. I think there was one point where there was this little scriber that they used to do calendars on the molds. I'm like, why do we need a calendar? So they would go and bring me down and they'd be like, you need it for this, this, and this. I'm like, oh, okay. And then there was another time where they had to explain mold max to me. And then I know we were talking on the phone last night how we were talking about core and cavity. How we didn't know the difference about core and cavity at first. We had to ask questions.
Yes, and I'm going to do a shout out to Tim Galbraith because, one of the things, same thing, went down on the shop floor, shows you what a core and a cavity and how they piece together. And yes, it's so valuable. And the other thing we talked about too was YouTube. You want to learn something too about an industry or about anything. There are YouTube videos that, I'm into cycling. So I just put new tires on my bike and I was like, YouTube, pause. I kept playing and showing step by step how to do it right. And so there are opportunities.
I call it the YouTube University.
Yes.
Yeah. I know there was one time that we had a spare moment or two because we kind of finished all our work and we were talking about how I didn't really know much. So my one coworker, he slid over to my desk and he pulled up YouTube on my computer. He's like, watch these videos. He's like, look at the recommended for more. I was like, okay. So it was just also about mold and mold making and all the aspects of it. And then afterwards, I just kind of went off on my own and would Google questions and then read articles just to kind of understand a bit more.
Well, Cynthia, you earned your place on this stage when it comes to curiosity because you are using your curiosity to learn and to grow. Actually, everybody, when I invite people on the show, one of the things how people come up on my radar to invite them on is that they are using curiosity. And I always say to people that if you can use curiosity in all areas of your life, it means you'll ask questions, you won't assume things, and you can start having those those learning skills come to you. You can just learn so much, whether it's YouTube, asking a coworker. And I will say this is definitely another plug for Cavalier Tool because Cynthia, you're an amazing company that does encourage, so much interaction with schools and they offer tours. They supported Manufacturing Day throughout the pandemic. They even created an online virtual tour on their website. So even when they couldn't do live tours, you could go and it's still there on the website. You can go and hear from the president and it's a walkthrough of the whole shop. It's quite phenomenal. So
I think we're actually having tours on Friday as well.
Yes, they're now going to be opening up. So please check out Cavalier Tool. You can check out their social media and see what's going on. Okay, we're gonna take a little bit of a break here and go over to the comments because we have quite a few people commenting and I want to go back and welcome some people that let's see, we have here Bob Feather says good afternoon, for popping in for a quick minute to say hi. I know he also popped in on YouTube. Bob is one of those, I tell you, he shows up. He is someone actually that is in a job and yet still supports other people, even though at the moment, like he, I guess, doesn't necessarily have to do it, but he does it because of his passion for industries, passion for networking, and he is just an all-around amazing person. Mike, I don't know if you know him, but if you don't. Okay, I would encourage you connecting with him. He's just a gem of a person. So,
Mike, you can pretty much connect with anybody in the comments.
Beautiful.
They're gonna all be awesome. I'm sure of it.
For anybody
I can't even see the comments, and I'm sure.
For anyone in the comments, anyone lurking right now, anyone watching, that's fine. But if you want to make some amazing connections today, please just drop in and say hello, say where you're from. If you want to share a little bit about your company, but because then other people will know who you are. You're going to show up so people can connect with you. Inger is here. Wow, Cynthia, what a story. Thanks for sharing. I agree. Cynthia, you do have an amazing story. You could be a poster child for my business of sign up students and show up, because you are doing all of those things. You've done them all. And we'll come back to this, but I know Inger is also part of the M&I University, and she's teaching about how to use LinkedIn and networking specifically for people in manufacturing. So, and look who else is here. Tal Jr. Rock on, Cynthia. Tal is we call him manager of people overall. He has another specific title, but he's on board helping with many areas when it comes to retention, when it comes to recruiting overall at Cavalier Tool, and has a background of working with Invest Windsor Essex. And I don't know if anybody hears from Invest Windsor Essex today. Please drop in and drop a note. They are doing a lot of the work around the local manufacturing day here. So Mike, that's something, that's an organization that's been spearheading and reaching out to companies to open their doors for tours. So here's Bob saying good afternoon. Yep. So now he's switched from LinkedIn over to YouTube. Inger says, love that, Mike, the year of women in manufacturing. And we have, yes, you're the most courageous person I know in 100th career, right, Gal? Not quite 100, but I might be making my way towards there. I think I'm on my 5th, possibly doing a bit of a pivot into next year, which is all about encouraging other people to show up. And Bob says, when it comes to Katie, believe the hype.
Thanks, Bob.
Inger says, you taught me so much about embracing manufacturing. Yes, an impact on the world. We need representation of the world, including the manufacturing sector, for sure. And Whitney says, what? Where is that? Asking for a friend. I think she's referencing, I don't know what you're referencing, Whitney. Where is that? Asking for a friend. Okay, Whitney, I'm not sure what you were referencing, because it was, see, that's the thing. Sometimes I didn't see that comment when it came up in our discussion, but for anyone, also, if you don't know Whitney, Mike, you must meet Whitney, because she is another shining light in terms of manufacturing and marketing. She is.
Well, if she's talking about Made in New Jersey Manufacturing Day, you can go to njmep.org/MFG Day. There's my shameless plug. But if you have more questions about that one, all on that page.
Okay.
Mike, if you were ever, you've gone to the USA Manufacturing Hour Twitter chat, right?
Oh, yeah.
I know I've seen you there. Okay, so Whitney is on as Welker.
Yeah. Oh, very cool. All right. Absolutely. Okay. Yes.
Now you see, that was how I knew you. I was like, who's that NJMEP?
Yes.
Who is that? I'm tracking him down. Oh, hunt him down.
I've been knocking on Mike's door for I don't know how long. And he's been putting me off. But guess what? I got you on camera now, Mike.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's doors. I always tell people I may break out into song at any moment. So
yeah, me too.
We're turning into a musical.
Yeah,
yes, I know.
GailNow,
I think I could be in one of those shows, the dancing, singing. Okay, maybe not the dancing. Now we had Diane say, watching YouTube but can't comment. Happy Wednesday, but you're, okay, watching YouTube but can't comment. Okay, the may have to do with settings. So Diane, after, if you want to connect with me, we can talk about that. Maybe how to.
She could also need a YouTube account.
Yeah.
There we go.
I know, if you have a Google account, you can sign into YouTube, and then that's your YouTube and Google are connected. So
yes, they are. Yes, they are. YouTube and Google. Yes. In fact, that's why videos on YouTube are so important when people are doing search, because you'll, and Inger says, yes, Bob, you are awesome. Thanks, Inger. So, asking about the pain manufacturing.
Yeah.
I do want to stress, I think you said that was an average.
That's an average, and
Yeah.
that's in America. I talk about U.S. manufacturing. So, and that is the average hourly rate as
Okay.
of August 2022. So, I mean, it's yesterday's,
So
like that's a good
I
number.
meant to circle back to comment on that because that is one of those very tricky things when you hear average, because here's what also we have to put that in context. If someone's coming right out of school and walking in to negotiate at their job, well, I think I should get $30 an hour. No. So, and I will give my story too, because I started out in journalism, and one of my first jobs, I actually worked in a circulation department, which is where I learned the most about journalism, was working in that department. And that was more, an entry level. I worked there for a summer. And, that's another thing I think we really need to stress going into manufacturing. You're not necessarily going to start at the highest pay rate, but there's opportunities to adjust, change, go down different routes. But
Gail, isn't that every industry? I mean,
Yes,
I
that's
started
every
out as a social media manager making, $12 an hour. I mean, it was,
Right.
you don't start
Mhm.
where you want to be. You have to learn the
Right.
industry, and it's kind of the best
Right.
place to learn.
My son has been picking up summer jobs at the local factory. And the first year he started, he was getting $12 an hour, and he was really disappointed because he knew how much his uncle made there. But, his uncle is a C-level executive. So, but then he went back for a second year, and he made $18 an hour for his second summer. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes up with experience. If you show up to work and you do your job and you can probably pass a drug test, you're good, I don't know. I digress.
No, I agree. And Mike, I think you're right. In any industry, it's really important to look at, where you're going to start. And also the most valuable lessons you're going to get, especially in manufacturing, is starting out. I call it boots on the ground. And in my recent blog, I focused on it was a previous interview that I had on my show, Tim Galbraith, who is was sales manager, now general manager at Cavalier Tool. And he talks about how he started, and, he went and learned a lot about what was happening on shop floors, and that helped him in his sales later on. So that's really key. And I'm sure, Cynthia, the more you're learning at that ground level, and, some people want to stay there. Some people like working on the front lines, right? Other people want to adjust and change. And that's where I think in an education system, we need to change some of that, what we're teaching young people, and letting them know it's not only one track, or that you want to get to, because I always said you can make a lot of money and be very unhappy too. So
yeah.
Okay, so we'll start we're at, we've got probably about 10 minutes ish more. So we'll start to do a bit of a wrap up and talk about what next. What are some tips that we could maybe give to either educators or people that are out there listening, whether in sales, recruiting, because we do have a problem right now. We have a massive problem that will probably get worse before it gets better in terms of workforce. There's a problem. So Mike, let's go over to you to talk about what you might suggest. Obviously what you're doing with your manufacturing day, and you're not doing this, as they say, just for your edification. You're doing this. I have a story about that, why I use that word, but okay. Can you talk about what are some steps and tips?
Well, MEPs, again, if you're in the US and you are a manufacturing organization, I highly recommend you find your state's MEP and engage with them. Whether it's to participate in their manufacturing days, whether it's to see what type of services they can provide, but most importantly, when it comes to the pipeline, seeing what they're doing about the pipeline. Because, I could speak to New Jersey, we are developing a pre-apprenticeship program, and we are one of the only organizations that have a registered apprenticeship program from the USDOL. So what that means is we have a very, rigid curriculum for high schools. We're actually going into the high schools now and kind of injecting this manufacturing curriculum into the high schools at the pre-apprenticeship level, and developing that through to finding them a job, and then supporting that registered apprenticeship with their employer through a mentorship program. And NJMEP is that facilitator, because in the US, it's not so easy. We don't have that countrywide apprenticeship program outside of a union. So if you're talking about a manufacturer that's privately owned, it's a lot of work to create your own apprenticeship program. So see if your organization can create one, or work with an organization that can create one for you, because it really starts at being willing to hire someone that might just be fresh, green behind, wet behind the ears, completely green, and providing that support to develop that individual. Because, another spoiler for Manufacturing Day, we have a positive workforce alternative panel where we're having 2 organizations that work with those that are on the spectrum, and then 2 organizations for veterans returning to the civilian world. 2 underserved communities that often don't get utilized enough to supplement that immediate skills gap while you're training those individuals and you're searching for those machinists and welders that 10-year experience that just don't exist. So you have short-term solutions, you have long-term solutions being developed, but it does take you showing up and kind of stepping up to really take that forward and make it work.
Thank you, Mike. That is definitely an important part of going forward, is to, reach out and start collaborating and connecting. And, here in Canada, we do have things, through the schools. We have the Oh Yeah program. We have colleges that are stepping up. And we also have locally here in Windsor, Invest Windsor Essex, which has, as I said, done the outreach to, get some Manufacturing Day activities going. But it takes, we're going to need to do a lot more, because it's I think there's a sense sometimes of sitting back and thinking, I don't know, maybe the magic fairies are going to come in and find all these people to work in manufacturing. Okay, over to you, Katie, to now maybe talk a little bit about what you are suggesting from a showing up online, showing up through how to use SEO, how to use, what are some things we can do in terms of an online presence?
Oh, I wasn't prepared for that question.
I know.
I am not a marketer. I do not deal with SEO. I barely even know what it is. But what I can tell you is that every Monday, I do a rundown of the most searched for industrial products and services during the week. From there, I want you to gather your own thoughts from that, what all those things mean to you. But it's important that if you are in any of those industries, or if you support any of those industries, you should be aware of what's on top of the minds of buyers of industrial parts and services. So as far as that's concerned, that's what I have to say about that. I wasn't prepared to answer that one, but I am so inspired by what Mike said. So I'm just going to follow up Mike, if you don't mind.
Well, you were, you know what, I knew you could answer that, because you are doing SEO when it comes to that, what people are searching for. That's exactly what we need to do when it comes to, I often say, even when I'm working with salespeople, is I'll say, what are the questions you get asked? And if you're getting asked those questions, if you because if you're getting asked those questions now, there is many lurkers out there want those same questions answered. And, it's a bit like, when you can provide those answers to people, they're going to see you as a resource. They're going to see you as a contact. Right. They're going to see you as someone they want to reach out to. And this is that missing link that people don't realize how important, that showing up online is. And as I said,
I can tell you what your customers are searching for, what your customers actually want to buy. I can tell you that.
Yes.
So as far as, how I can help people show up online, I guess that's how I do it best.
That's exactly right. Because if they're searching for that and you are providing that, and they're searching, then you need to for sure get out there and talk about that. And then that's where you can do the how-tos, the whys, and ask the expert. So lots of opportunity. Okay, I'm going to bring Cynthia up to give some tips. Just everybody, the last question I always ask everybody is, how do you exercise your curious minds? So y'all can have time to think about that. And Cynthia, you'll be the last person. So when I circle back to Mike. So I just want to give that heads up so there's no surprises for anyone. So Cynthia, to start with, what are some tips that you would give? We've heard from Mike. We've heard from Katie about the online. We've heard Mike in terms of, both in person as well as online, the need for manufacturers to step up and, open doors. And what would you say as a young person, what message would you give that if you were in charge of the world, what would you do to get more people in manufacturing?
Mine would probably have to go back to the teachers. because I know when I was in high school and I was in the OER program, they didn't really, I would like to say, prepare us enough. And I know because even other OER students that have come from different schools that work here, we always say that it's nothing like we thought it was going to be, especially because we went into a mold shop where at school we were doing more like hands-on with like milling machines and lathes and stuff like that. And so I just think that the teachers should better prepare us and kind of just like let us know that, hey, high school's strict. I know a big one was like different rules. Like high school, it was very strict, where at a shop, it's you just kind of do your own job, do it right, and the rules are kind of like more lenient, where in high school it was like you have to strictly work by yourself, you have to do this and that, but they don't really prepare you to work in a team with everyone. They kind of just you go into a shop, you get thrown into a team, and I know some students probably aren't prepared for that because you're so used to working by yourself, so then you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to ask questions, you don't know how to do a bunch of other stuff. So I just think for the teachers, it should just be to better prepare for students to go into the big manufacturing world, because a lot of students have quit. Like I know half of my OYAP class never continued on through the summer because they just quit after that and then just went back to grade 12 with regular classes instead because no one was prepared enough for it. And I know even now, like I have to reassure the new OYAP kids that come, I have to be like, hey, I know it's different. You can do it. You can get through it. Like I'll be with you along the way, but just stick with it.
Cynthia, you're such a bright light. I know I've said that before, but you definitely, yeah. Oh, and I have to mention, I know Katie has a webinar, so we have to start to wrap up. So Katie, why don't we jump over to give you an opportunity to say how do you exercise your curious mind? And then you can post after in the comments about M&I University and your webinar, and because I want more people to know what you're doing, and M&I is such a valuable resource. So how do you exercise your curious mind, Miss Katie?
I like to read. I read a lot. I read a lot of different things, short form, long form, whatever. I just like to read stuff. I call myself a learn-it-all. So also I am a student of YouTube University as well. So I like to watch videos. So like all those ones that you guys put out that are how things are made, or, you know, the ones where they show you the real short ones where it's like supposed to be real soothing and you see just like this repetitive output of product. Like all those things I find so interesting. That's how I exercise my curious mind. I fill it with things that I think are interesting, which spurs more questions. And then I find those people online and I say, oh my gosh, I just saw this. Tell me more. I had to have somebody explain to me what EDM was. I thought it was electronic dance music. But then I learned from an older man in my wine club that I have with my friends all about EDM and how it works. And I had no idea. So it was so, yeah, inspire yourself. Like, you know, eat up that content, or, you know, learn things and just ask questions from people who are professionals. And suddenly, if you're in sales, you've just built a community.
And I'm going to leave this curiosity gap for when you come on the show next time. We're going to talk about rocks and geology and how you met a famous YouTuber. Oh, we got to come back to that story, because how you can meet amazing people when you do your research. And so Katie, we'll talk more about that, because that's exciting. And that's how I meet people, is through online and, you know, reaching out and being prepared first. So, okay, I will.
Can I just say, I want to say goodbye to everybody. I want to thank Cynthia. I love it. You're awesome. We have to connect. We got to be friends. And Mike, don't hide from me anymore.
You know where to
I'm
find me.
going to collaborate on something together. Let's do it, please.
I love it.
It'll be fun. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye, Katie.
For Manufacturing Month. Bye. I
Bye.
can figure out how to hang up on my phone now.
We can remove you. We can remove you. That sounded kind of sinister, didn't it? We can remove you. Oh my goodness. This is just, wow. I mean, Katie is truly someone who is offering so much in the world, and she does have some great stories about how she's very curious as well. Mike, how do you exercise your curious mind?
I'm a hobby guy. I find hobbies, try to master them, find out that they're a lot harder to master than you think they are, and just keep on learning. And one of those is, again, like I said, blacksmithing, but I'm also a musician. And my work is almost my hobby. I have so much fun doing what I do that I just try to meet people and learn about them and what they do, and collaborate with this industry as a whole, and just try to be out there and come on shows like this, meet people like Gail and Cynthia. And I think you just need to continue to, and I love the name of the show, because you need to show up, and take on and bite. They always say, don't bite off more than you could chew. I don't like that advice. Do it, and then figure out how to swallow it without choking, because that's really going to be the best way that you can learn to push your boundaries and make stuff happen that's cooler than you thought was possible.
Yeah, I love that about not taking on more than you can handle. Because I said, if I listened to that advice all the time, man, I would have. But I do try to find balance. But it's important sometimes to push those boundaries and to
Absolutely.
do things that you think, am I going to be able to do this? And then you try it. And I always say that's where the magic happens when. And I'm always someone too, when I'm working with clients, I said, I'm always going to push you a bit past that line. And then when you pull back, you're still going to be a bit over the line. But I never, if you go before the line, I mean, you're missing out some things.
You are.
I don't like to leave anything on the table there. So, okay, Cynthia, how do you exercise your curious mind?
Well, for me, I personally have like ADHD, so my mind's always going. I'm always asking questions. Like, I think I look up online like maybe 10 different thoughts I have a day, and I'll find something that I get interested in, and then I'll deep dive into that for maybe a day or two until I go on to the next subject. So like, I'm always reading. I love reading books. I love watching YouTube videos. I'm always on Twitter, which always has like news and stuff like that. So I'm always going through that. Like, it's just, I'm all over the place. So I'd like to say that my mind's always pretty curious and entertained.
I don't know if we're following each other on Twitter. We need to follow each other, because
I don't know if we are either.
Okay. Well, now that I know, I don't know if I'm following you on TikTok, but now we're going to have to.
I would like to point out that my Twitter account is not a personal account. It's personally a fan account.
Okay. Well, we'll talk because there are sometimes more personal than business. I get it. So
I've actually been meaning to make a personal account, so maybe we can. I know my Instagram is pretty like, I have like Build a Dream and Cowboy following me on Instagram, so maybe we could do that. Also, the laptop I was supposed to use just finally loaded, so it's a good thing I didn't use that laptop.
Yes, technology is pretty important, isn't it?
Gail, I'm so sorry. I got to run to a 2 o'clock.
Okay, Mike.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we'll thank you, Mike, for stopping by, and make sure to drop any links in the comments, and then we'll just finish up here with Cynthia. So have a great day, Mike.
Thank you.
Bye.
Nice to meet you, Cynthia.
Nice
Wishing
to
you the
meet
best
you.
too.
Thank you.
All right. So
And
then
now
there's just us two now. Here we go. Double screen. Here we go.
Woohoo.
Okay. Well, Cynthia, thank you again for stopping by. And I know I also want to do a thank you to Cavalier Tool for, helping facilitate today. And obviously they are a big supporter of Manufacturing Day, month, year. And, they
thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, you were definitely a bright light here today. Now, normally I don't ask people's ages, but are you comfortable just to give some context to people? Would you mind sharing what?
Yeah, I just turned 19 in July.
I should have said that at the start, because I'm like, you're 19 and have this much wisdom. You are well on your way. Like 19.
Yeah. I first started working here when I was 16.
Wow.
So it'll be 3 years in February that I've been here.
Wow. Like I said, normally ages, and I always think age, there's a reason when we sometimes share that. So thank you for sharing that, because clearly at 19, you are, very gifted in terms of your communication and in terms of your skills. And I'm sure we'll be able to have much leadership in the area of
Thank you.
Manufacturing. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for
I'm just going to
having
have
me.
you, in fact, I'll have you, you can sign out. I know sometimes I talk to people in the green room, but I know you have to get back to your work and back to EDM. Is that what you're working today?
Yes, I am in the EDM department.
And it's not electronic dance music.
No, it's not.
Why don't you say, what is EDM?
Oh God, now you're putting me on the spot.
No, just it's electrical discharge. Anyways, we'll figure it. Don't worry. I don't want to bring this out. No. Because you know what? It's one of those terms. There's so many times we know like certain things like that. And we can't think of the name. So
It's
anyway,
always like I know it in the back of my mind, and then when
Yep.
someone asks me a question, it's on the tip of my tongue. And there's so many terms in here that
Yes.
I'm just like,
yeah, no problem. It is not, as long as you know how to do it, you don't need to explain it. So we'll, I'm sure it'll pop up sometime later. We'll put it in the comments later. But, and plus, when
Also, I have a
electrical
question.
discharge machining, thank you to my show producer. Thank you, Inger.
he's a real one.
There we go. Now we all know. So what are those? We all know until, well, how do you know what you know if you don't know what you know? You gotta ask questions, and you have to be prepared. You know what I really love about that answer, Cynthia, is sometimes you have to say, I don't know. And people are afraid to say that. So that's another strength of yours, to be able to say, you know what, I don't know what that is right now, because
I always ask a million questions. Like even at the college, I'm always going up to my teachers and I'll be like, what's this? What's that? And I think they get annoyed with me sometimes.
I bet you they don't. I get asked when I was I've taught, and I've also been a manager. And I tell you, I appreciated the staff that asked the questions rather than assuming. So keep on asking questions, because curiosity will carry you a very long way.
Speaking of questions, I do have one.
Okay.
Because this is my first time on the show and it is being broadcasted on YouTube, is the VOD gonna be on YouTube?
Is the what?
It's a VOD. It's like I guess you can call it like where I can go back and rewatch it.
Oh yes, yep, the replay. Yes, it'll be on here, and I can if you need to download it too, I can tell you how to do that if you want to actually take the video and use it somewhere else. And I can send you the link. I can send you the actual video.
Yeah, can you send me it, please?
Yep.
Or
I'll
like
send
just
that
send
to-
me
yep.
the YouTube channel?
Yeah, because you can share it on YouTube. I encourage you, and anybody in fact, any teachers, if you show, and then that helps my channel as well. And then I can send you the video. So say you want to take clips out of it to use, and we can talk about that too.
Yeah, I think I'll probably send it to my friends, and then I'll post the link on my Instagram, because I did that with the article as well.
And you can tag Cavalier Tool. They're now on Instagram as well. So, All right. Well,
Sweet.
thank you,
Thank
Cynthia.
you.
You have a great day. Thank you for being
too.
such an amazing guest.
All right.
Okay. Bye. Wow. Whew. What a show today. That was a powerful one. And I'm, I knew this about Cynthia, that she was such a bright light, but today she did show up in all her, with all her magic too, in terms of at 19, I'm still taken aback at her knowledge and her insight. So, wow. Okay, I want to go back a few comments that I missed. Okay, and here's something. Whitney says, agree that both the education system not really set up peer students for the real world. Oh yes, this will be a topic of a future show because we've got a lot of work to do, and we heard firsthand from some people too involved from Cynthia today. Yes, Inger says, you guys are such an inspiration. Thank you for signing up, suiting up, and showing up indeed. Okay, we have a bit more. This is yes, Inger, can't wait to see what the future holds for you, Cynthia. Well, and she's certainly in a very good place at Cavalier Tool as well. And thank you, everyone, for joining in the comments and taking part in today's show. As mentioned, I help manufacturers tell and share their story. And I'm also focusing in more on the PR and publicity side of my business. So where I can help people develop their personal brand, help people share their story. And a lot of times people are reluctant to do that. And when I was giving a talk, I was giving a keynote to women in aerospace. And one of the most powerful parts of that talk was when I said, as women, you have a duty to share your story. I would say in manufacturing, manufacturers have a duty to share your story because we are needing to get more people into manufacturing. We need more people like Cynthia stepping up and showing up in this world. If you want to learn more about what I do, you can check in on my LinkedIn. My website is GailNow.com. I have fun on TikTok that shows a little bit about my personality in terms of some of my keynotes. And I am on Instagram and Twitter. And of course, you can reach me at gail@gailnow.com. So if you have a question, if you're wondering about what type of help you may need to develop your personal brand to show up, please get in touch. On that, enjoy your week, your month. It's Manufacturing Month. I will also be taking part in a panel on Friday. And please make sure, Inger was in the comments today, please make sure you check out her course on LinkedIn, as well as some of the other courses that are offered with Manufacturing MNI University. There we go. And now I will say goodbye to everyone, and I will see you next week because we have more amazing guests lined up.